Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. It's the France 24 debate, and we're saluting Cannes. It's the 70th edition of the world's most famous film festival. It's coming with a bit of controversy over the future of the way movies are screened. Netflix with 2 films in competition, raising eyebrows and forcing rule changes. We've been debating it with Jordan Mincer, film critic for The Hollywood Reporter, who is there for the fortnight. And it's day 8. I hope you've taken your vitamins.
Yeah, I'm surviving.
You're surviving because there's not much sleep. I know Ama Ampadu, filmmaker, producer with Slum Kids Films. I'm sure you'll agree there's much sleep deprivation when you're at the Cannes fortnight.
Yes, we are quite tired, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tired, but
a lot of us are waking up to go to the 8:30 screening, so...
So yeah, 8:30 screenings, parties in the night. There isn't much room for sleep. Aurélie Lévy knows something about it. She's the author of My Life for an Oscar. And we'll talk about it in a moment. You have a project going on now, which is kind of in the vein of where things are going. We'll talk about that in a moment.
I'm going digital.
You're going digital. Emmanuel Vivier will I'm sure, approve. He knows a thing or two about the Cannes Film Festival, having been there many a time. And again, the future is always, from your past experiences there, always something that is talked about, because Cannes is not just a film festival. It's also a film market, and that's where a lot of deals are done. Emmanuel Vivier, the founder of the Hub Institute. Welcome back to the show. Just a reminder to finish off what we were saying before the break. Ticket sales for movies in France slightly up over the past 12 months, but that's nothing compared to 1938. Were movies that much better then? Well, perhaps not. This graph shows it's more a tale of changing technology and merchandising. So during the 1940s, 50s, 60s, television comes. So that's why you see the numbers going down. Then you had another dip that took place in the 1980s when pay television came to this country. And then with the advent of the multiplex, the number of tickets sold starts to rise. Jordan Mincer, your thoughts on the fact that the movie house is not dead yet?
No, I mean it's definitely not dead, and I think that at least in the United States, you know, the big popcorn comic book movies, people want to see those on the big screen. Everybody rushes to see them on, you know, Thursday night or Friday night when they open, and so there's still this kind of sensation of going and seeing these kind of spectacles on the big screen. But again, for the art house, it's a very different thing. I just wanted to mention one thing, is that, you know, I know that every filmmaker would like their film to be seen on the big screen, especially a big screen like the one in Cannes. But filmmakers, above all, want to get money to make their films. Yeah. And the fact is that the big studios in Hollywood are not financing art films at all anymore, or very, very little of them. And so Netflix and Amazon have filled the gap to finance, you know, ambitious auteur films that weren't being made, you know, by the studios over the last 10 or so years. A film like Okja, which is in Cannes by Bong Joon-ho, no studio would ever put, you know, $60 million, which was the budget, into a film like that, which is half in Korean and which is kind of amazing, but also kind of crazy. And so, you know, in the end, it's shown on the internet, it's streamed, it's not shown in theaters. I think that is somewhat of a problem, but the reality is that filmmakers just want to get their film financed and they want to make them.
It's changing the way, Aurélie Lévy, that we approach filmmaking, that we approach documentary making. You yourself have a project right now. And you were telling me before the show that you weren't, what is it, interior decoration?
Well, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I make a lot of documentaries, and I have to say Netflix is a great platform for that.
But your particular project, you don't seem that bothered about finding a television station to broadcast it.
I think distribution is no longer an issue. I think you're going straight to the viewer, and it's an incredible thing. It depends on the content. Look, they all have a point. When you're making a film for theater, you want it to be in theaters, but not everybody is making content in that for that purpose. And I see the film industry today as a sort of magnificent ecosystem that is harboring and producing various organisms that of a large spectrum that span from TV series, web series, short, even contemporary art pieces to feature films, and that's a great thing. The more content is, the more it's conducive to creativity, the better it is. And whether you like it or not, there's more content being produced, which is a good thing, I think.
But films, this is the tricky part. It's not an industry like any other because the works are creative works. You were talking about, be it entertainment or culture, whichever way you look at it. These are these are works where you have this artistic aspect to them. And you just heard Jordan Mincer describe how the Hollywood studios, well, they've become conservative and they don't want to take risks. This new business model that we're describing, is that going to force those major studios to have to get out of their comfort zone?
Probably, because if you look at TV and movie theaters, they are about blockbusters. They need to have the most successful movie to be profitable. But if you look at Netflix or Amazon Prime or others, they don't sell advertising, so they don't really care of global audience, and they can take more risk financing different niche movies. And if you take just Amazon and Netflix this year, it's more than $10 billion budget to buy or to produce new movies. So of course it's going to challenge those mainstream studios that don't want to take risk anymore. But I'm not sure they will be able to afford it because of the, I would say, business structure of movie theater.
But I would point out that the reason Netflix is making original content, it's because in previous years, it was able to negotiate catalogs, full film catalogs, that it would buy off the studios. And those prices have gone up so high because its value is so much more important that they're not forced to produce their own content. So
same with original series, not just by Netflix, but by the competition as well.
Precisely. So they're doing it not just because they're, philanthropists. They're doing it because they have no choice, because they can't afford.
They got to make their own catalog.
Absolutely. It's important to point it out because nothing is,
All right. At the outset of the show, Jordan was describing how he was surviving at Cannes. Amma Ampadu was saying how she was making do with the 8:30 a.m. screenings and the late night parties. Cannes will always be Cannes. For one festival goer who's literally seen it all and who spoke to France 24's Olivia Salazar-Winspear.
Je suis arrivée dans le cinéma tout à fait par hasard. J'ai fait une école commerciale et cette école commerciale plaçait ses élèves et il s'est trouvé que j'ai été placée dans ce cinéma comme secrétaire. Et c'est mes débuts dans le cinéma. J'en suis jamais sortie. En 1947, j'ai donc été au festival et en 1948, j'ai eu une fille qui s'appelle Martine. Et puis en 1949, je suis venue et en 1950, j'ai eu une fille qui s'appelle Françoise. Donc, je dis, j'ai raté 2 festivals. Mais j'étais au comité de sélection et on avait décidé de faire le festival tous les 2 ans seulement. Et en 1948 et en 1950, il n'y en a pas eu. Donc j'ai fait tous les festivals. C'était important pour moi parce qu'il n'y avait pas que le festival, il y avait déjà aussi la quinzaine. Et là, on y trouvait les films qui pouvaient convenir à nos salles d'arrêt d'essai. Le directeur de l'époque nous pressait en disant « mais non, prenez pas ça ». Il avait son film préféré, ainsi de suite. Mais à l'unanimité, on a sélectionné La Maman et la Putain, un scandale. La Maman et la Putain, moitié. Mais alors la Grande Bouffe, là, huée, sifflée. Les premiers festivals, c'était la famille cinéma. C'est-à-dire, c'était vraiment les exploitants, les distributeurs, on se connaissait tous. Et là, c'était artisanal. Vraiment, c'était super.
Still going strong at the age of 100. Simone at the Cannes Film Festival. Amma Ampadu, let me ask you, she mentioned there how Cannes has grown over the years, and now it includes, and you mentioned them in part one of our discussion, it's not just the competition for the Golden Palm, there's other even more art house competitions, the director's fortnight, Un certain regard. You had a film 2 years ago that you produced, Lamb, which was in one of those competitions. What was the experience like?
In Cannes, it's fantastic. You know, I think that, you know, it was an Ethiopian film, and an Ethiopian film is naturally a very fragile film. It's something that, you know, there isn't a natural huge audience for it. And being at Cannes,
it was definitely the first Ethiopian film screened at Cannes.
Absolutely. It was the first Ethiopian film screened at Cannes, and that gave us the visibility, and that allowed us to have, you know, distribution, and for it to be screened at movie theaters in several countries, including France. And, you know, I think that experience for the film was fantastic. I'm really for the fact that it's also available on digital right now, because, of course, it's live at the movie theaters is going to be limited. But right now, you know, all those people in other parts of the world that weren't able to see it in the movie theaters, or those who missed it when it came out, are able to watch it on digital. So I'm not against digital, I'm not against Netflix, but I do think that that kind of pure cinema experience is something that should be preserved. And as it is actually really fragile today, you know, overall, the number of people going to movie theaters is going down. You know, somebody has to protect it, you know. And I think that, you know, those at Netflix should be able to understand it. I also think that it's fantastic what they're doing, financing more fragile projects. And, you know, I think that the revenues for Netflix and Amazon are so high that they could possibly give those directors the opportunity to have the film screened at movie theaters and then come on the platform. But again, you know, it's up to them to decide. But that could work, you know, and I think it'd be fantastic for the industry.
Emmanuel Vivier, your reaction to that idea. Do you think that's a good idea?
But I think Netflix is not against showing up in movie theaters. They're just saying we don't want to wait 3 years for our own subscribers to enjoy the movie. So, of course, we have these timings that was voted years ago with VHS and movie theater. It's very complicated. But I think we are on an international level now. And, of course, if there is maybe shortcuts, they might agree to show it in some movie theater.
Because the point, and we should make it to the viewers watching,
absolutely.
The rule in Cannes is that if you, in order to have a prize, you have to have a film that has a theatrical release. And if you have a theatrical release, you're not allowed to stream it online for a certain amount of time, sometimes years. So that creates a real issue for companies like Netflix. So it's important to mention it. That's also why there is such a controversy. And I think you have a point. I think what's going to happen eventually is Netflix or other companies are going to agree to some form of theatrical release in order to obey these rules and participate in those festivals. And they're also going to, in due time, win the right to stream the movies on that same day. Everything, I think, will end up being released around the world at the same time. I really think
this is so fascinating. Everything's going faster, and Jordan Mintzer, the conversation we're having is really a conversation about globalization and about how just everything's going faster, including movies and how fast they get released. And let me ask you, because you're the film critic here, what's the artistic quality like of the 2017 crop at Cannes?
I was going to say maybe everything's going faster, but not necessarily the movies playing in the Cannes Film Festival this year. There's some I would say it's quite mixed. There's some at least in the main competition. I think the consensus is that it's rather disappointing this year, and there are some films that are quite slow, a little long. I think the more interesting films are actually being found in these sidebar competitions like the Director's Fortnight or the Critics Week or even on Certain Regard. That's where a few films have been discovered that have been pretty surprising. But the main competition, which features a lot of auteurs who have been in Cannes in the past, I think for the most part the critics are not very happy this year.
Is there still that gulf at Cannes between the French, who view it as was being mentioned earlier by Emmanuel, who view it as the cinema as high art, and the Hollywood executives who storm into town?
Yes, I mean there's still the gulf between basically the market and everything, and the deals going on in the big hotels, and what's being shown in the actual, on the screens in the theater. But I think the Hollywood executives are coming less and less. I find compared to previous years, there's a lot less big deals being announced in Cannes. I think they're finding that it's quite expensive to launch films in Cannes or to launch projects in Cannes, and they're deciding to stay home. So there's actually a little more art, a little less Hollywood, if you want, this year compared to previous years.
Ama Ampadu, is this the same experience that you felt of this Cannes 2017?
Yes, I mean, I think that the main competition, some of the films, I mean, they're good, but they don't necessarily need to be part of the main competition. There was also some really good ones, and I hope people will be able to discover it. Let's see what happens on Sunday and who will walk away with the prize. And yeah, it is slightly quieter, but I mean, I do think that filmmakers cherish the idea of being here. I'm more on that side, thinking about what the artists want, and I think that those who've been selected are pleased to be here, and we're all enjoying discovering the films, whether we like them or not. It's always good to be open-minded and to see what's actually going on in the world today in terms of filmmaking.
The competition's not over yet, so the best is may still yet be to come. But Amma, if there's one film that so far has stuck out in your mind?
I would say Loveless would be the one that I would, yeah.
Loveless? How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, which was...
I would say the French film BPM about the years of ACT UP and CETA in France in the 90s. That's definitely the one that moved me the most, for sure.
All right, well, we'll be watching those two. And of course, there's still films to be screened. Emmanuel Vivier, your thoughts on the Cannes vibe? And you heard Jordan Mintzer there saying that some executives now staying away.
I think there's a lot of controversy because there's a lot of money at stake, and there is competition between different countries, different industries, and different layer in the industry. Even about launching the same day, it's the best way to fight against piracy too. Because if you look at music industry,
and those layers, by the way, let me interrupt you here. Those layers, you see them when you're at Cannes. You see struggling actors, you see big executives, you see everybody.
I think we see some things, and there is a lot of behind the curtains deals and negotiation between the TV, between the regulation. So I love Cannes at least because the whole world is really joining, and you have people from the US, people from Europe, Asia a bit, of course Africa. So I think it's one of the a unique platform where everybody is connecting together, and from art to business, everybody's there.
And let's not forget, this controversy serves, all the parties included. I mean, it's good for Netflix. It allows Cannes.
You certainly mentioned the brand a lot of the last hour.
Come on, and it allows Cannes to reaffirm what it stands for, and there's always controversy in Cannes. This is just
And there's always controversy to talk about it on France 24. I want to thank you, Aurélie Lévy. I want to thank as well Emmanuel Vivier, Ama Ampadu, and Jordan Mintzer. Good luck. It's not over yet. The home stretch of the Cannes Film Festival coming up this weekend. Stay with us. Our Media Watch segment is next. And we say hello to Emma James.
Hi there.
I saw several hashtags for Cannes this year.
Yes.
Lots of different hashtags. Bit of the controversy regarding Netflix. Is it buzzing, though, the Cannes Film Festival this year?
Not as much as I've seen it in the past. I think what is missing, I mean, obviously the events in Manchester have really dominated both the news and a lot of social media users' thoughts. But back in 2015, there was a huge story when Cannes decided to ban women from wearing flat shoes on the red carpet. They had to be in high heels. And we haven't had anything like that that's really captured the imagination and really got everyone talking. We've seen lots of pretty images of women wearing beautiful frocks, but I haven't seen that much else. But when it comes to women, it is really something of Cannes' Achilles heel, if you like. If we take a look at this article from The Independent, which is from when the actual lineup was announced, they're making a big fanfare about the fact there are 12 movies by female directors, which is an improvement, up from 9 last year. There were none in 2012 directed by women. But there's only 3 out of the 19 that are in competition directed by women, and it is out of 54 in total, so it's not a huge number.
And Jane Campion's The Piano, I believe, is the only one ever to win the Golden Palm.
Absolutely, and even more bizarrely, it was actually shared. Everyone talks about the fact that she was the only woman to win it, but actually The Piano shared the honours with a movie called Farewell, My Concubine, because the jury was split. Now, you could cry sexism, or you could just say, well, it just happened that way that year. But certainly people talking about that one. The biggest story, really, about the Cannes Film Festival came before the curtain went up or the red carpet was rolled out, and it is all about that image that you see behind there. Claudia Cardinale photoshopped to make her even slimmer because she looked perfect before, but not perfect enough for the people of Cannes, and so they slimmed down her waist, her arms, her thighs, and there was quite a furore over that. The Hollywood Reporter is talking about the fact that Nicole Kidman has really been flying the flag for girl power today in Cannes.
She's in Sofia Coppola's latest film, Beguiled.
Exactly. One of the female-directed movies there, The Beguiled. And what she has said is that she's pledging to work with a female director every 18 months because she wants to get more women involved in Hollywood.
It is a man's world, movies.
Still, I think. It's changing, but still, yes.
Looking elsewhere...
Is it okay that I say this? Is it but yeah, I do think so.
Absolutely.
See, I'll tell you why, if I may. It's very difficult. First of all, it takes years to gain experience and to have the opportunity, and then childbearing can be complicated. It's very difficult to be on a film set when you have a child, and it's a hard life, and it comes with a great deal of sacrifice. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Nicole Kidman, really one of the exceptions to the rule. She is continuing to work prolifically, even though she's not under 30 or even under 40 anymore. Variety has come up with a list of Cannes' 7 biggest winners and losers. They say one of the biggest winners is Will Smith, who's managed to bring a much-needed dose of fun to the buttoned-up palais, they say. But while they say the palais is buttoned up, the outfits certainly aren't. Marion Cotillard is mentioned too as one of the biggest losers because of her performance in Ismail's Ghosts, the opening night film. They describe it here as landing with a thud. Very unfortunate.
Really?
But she is guaranteed plenty of column inches because, and somebody dubbed this the perv's eye view, a cameraman, a photographer, got up high in order to capture this image, and there is an awful lot of flesh on show. You might think that this dress is pretty revealing, it's to be expected, that's what actors do. However, when you take a look at the dress as it should have been seen by photographers standing on the ground rather than on the roof, you see that it is a lot less revealing. However, it pales into insignificance compared to some others. This is a Victoria's Secret model. I won't bother to name her because she's worn this for the publicity and I refuse to give it to her. But anyway, what really made me laugh is that when there was a candid photo of this dress posted online, it shows that even when you have a perfect body, you can look rather unfortunate if you just wear a little scrap of lace. Katie Lee, the journalist who took this, says, "I keep imagining myself in some of the outfits I've seen at Cannes and I can't stop laughing."
we'll leave it there. Many thanks, Emma James. I want to thank our panel once again. Of course, there's more on the Cannes Film Festival on our website, france24.com. Thank you for being with us here in the France 24 debate.